All right, guys. Good morning. I figure I'd do another video here because our class is called fitness, and wanted to dissect all the concerns as far as like what is fitness, right? Typically, when we take a course like this, it's called physical education. It's not really called fitness. Nothing wrong with that. Because of the remote learning, we are definitely going to be focusing a lot on fitness. But I wanted to introduce a video for students to refer to. So there are 5 components of fitness, and that's what we're going to focus on today. Students will be able to explain why being physically fit contributes to their overall wellness. Students will be able to identify the 5 components of fitness and be able to provide some examples. All right. I also will be sharing a video on mindfulness. So don't worry about this doing that right now. So with that being said, the 5 components of fitness, right? We have muscular strength, muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance, flexibility, and body composition. As we go through our remote learning, we're always going to be focusing on all these components. So that's why I really thought it was important to describe this for you. So the physical exercise benefits, all right? Some of the benefits is you reduce your risk of a heart attack or heart disease. You can manage your BMI more effectively. That's your body composition. Okay, so you can have a better tone and better and healthy body weight. You lower your blood cholesterol levels. You lower your cholesterol levels in the blood profile, which is very important. You lower the risk of disease like hypertension, that's high blood pressure, heart disease, and diabetes. You can have stronger bones, muscles, and joints. Therefore, you're lowering the risk of osteoporosis. That's when your bones become brittle and frail and become old as we get more mature and grow upon age. You're going to lower your risk of falls because you're going to have better balance and agility, theoretically speaking. Okay. And then you're going to feel better, have more energy, better mood, feel relaxed, sleep better, perform better, and you're just going to feel amazing. All right. So the physical exercise and mental benefits. When you exercise, it helps block negative thoughts or distract you from worries or stress. So this is another way to cope with stress. All right. Exercising with others. All right. I know we're doing remote learning, but if we're going to be exercising as a class, it does help with social contact. Okay. So you get to meet more people and develop your social skills. It's going to have increase. Fitness is going to obviously lift your mood and improve your sleep. So you will sleep better if you're better fit. Exercise can also change the levels of chemicals in your brain, such as serotonin, endorphins, and stress hormones. So our body has lots of hormones and messages going out throughout the day. When we exercise, those chemicals are kept in really good balance. So you eliminate possible depression, suicidal thoughts, and you're just gonna feel really good. That's why when people say, "Mr. Sermon," it's like, "Why are you always so energetic and loud?" It's because I exercise a lot and I enjoy it. So it's really important with that. It's going to help increase your self-esteem and confidence because when you exercise, you look better, you feel better. You're just going to have extreme self-esteem and you're going to be confident. Okay, so the physical exercise and social benefits. So you're going to become highly motivated, right? A person who exercises and follows exercise guidelines compared to someone who's sedentary or sitting down most of the time, they're going to be really motivated. All right, you're going to develop discipline and accountability. Okay, that's why you see a lot of athletes that have really good discipline because they follow a routine and regimen. And you'll notice a person like that, like if you eliminate them or take him out of that routine, like right now, me going into remote learning, like I'm not really at the gym, I can't play my basketball, like I just don't have my routine, and therefore it starts to really affect my health. So athletes or people who are fit and have structure, they're gonna have really good discipline and accountability in their lives, which goes a long distance for emotional and social health. You're going to build friendship and community. So when I'm at the gym, I have lots of fitness pals. They all greet me. They say hello. They might ask me for a spot. We'll catch up on things. So it's just great to build up your fitness community and everything that goes with that. I met lots of friends playing sports. So I still keep in touch with people in Greece that I played basketball with over a decade ago. I have my bodybuilding network of friends, so we talk about bodybuilding, help them with their competitions, their nutrition, and if I have to go to any of their events. So you build really meaningful and impactful relationships. Uh, Doing exercise or team type of sports are gonna it helps with team building and skills. So when we work on like in our fitness classes, like doing the team model, right? Like you get your boards and you fill out like your roster and like your goals. Like that's part of team building and your skills. So very important to develop that. So working with others is a key skill in many parts of our lives, but it can be something that people struggle and need more practice with, right? So right now, in our societies, more generations are evolving. They prefer to be home or behind a technological device. Nothing wrong with that. You guys will be really tech savvy, but they struggle with doing interpersonal things. So working with people face to face and just developing those kind of team building skills and communication skills, like how to talk and how to address certain conversations. All right, and it's going to help you deal with negative emotions or stress, right? So I know some of my middle school students, we talked about stress, coping with stress. Exercise is a number one problem solving thing for stress. So the more you exercise, the less stress you're going to have in your life. Okay, so now we're going to go into the 5 components. So we're going into the first component here. This is muscular strength. So if you notice John Cena, it takes a lot of power to be able to lift this person and do his attitude adjustment or whatever move it is. I haven't watched wrestling in a while, but I used to be a big fan. Stone Cold, The Rock, Hulk Hogan, Ultimate Warrior, you name them. All right, but muscular strength, all that is the ability of a muscle to exert maximal force of an object. So that really means like, how much force do I have to pick up something or move something one time? So that's muscular strength, right? So, for example, if I had a flat tire and I didn't really have help, how much power do I have or muscular strength to push the car? Like that's gonna require a lot of muscular strength, okay? Or maybe I have to squat a heavy object above my shoulders, 400 pounds. That's muscular strength, lifting it up for 1 or 2 reps. So that's lifting weights, bodybuilders, calisthenics, using your body weight like pull-ups, chin-ups, push-ups. That's going to need some muscular strength to do that type of force. Wrestlers and things like that. All right, so muscular endurance now, that's going to be a certain activity that you can sustain for a period of time. Muscular endurance is determined by how well your slow twitch muscle fibers are developed. So now we're not really focusing on strength, like how powerful I am. How quickly and long can I keep moving my arm like this? All right, like eventually my arm's gonna get tired. But if I have really good muscular endurance, I'm gonna be able to do this for like 30 minutes, 20 minutes, maybe an hour for a really, really well-equipped athlete like Serena Williams with her tennis racket. All right, that's muscular endurance. All right, so that's gonna be like your swimming, your tennis movements. Boxers, right? They have to keep their shoulders up for a long period of time and throwing jabs and uppercuts. That requires a lot of muscular endurance. Endurance weightlifting, okay? And you'll also notice that muscular endurance ties together with cardiovascular endurance. Okay, so cardiovascular endurance is how strong your heart is and how well your heart controls the oxygen flow to all of your working muscles. Cardiovascular health has a direct impact on your performance, both endurance and strength wise. So a lot of doctors, out of all the components of fitness, they talk about having good cardiovascular endurance. The better your heart muscle functions and you have more oxygen flow to all those muscles and good blood supply, you're going to be able to do all tasks very effectively and efficiently. So it's very important to train your heart to have good stamina, good cardiovascular endurance. All right. That's what that means. So it's people who do like long distance running, okay, swimmers again, a person who bike rides or does cycling tournaments, okay, hiking, aerobics. Those are like your aerobic classes. So doing like a lot of interval training, like that's cardiovascular endurance. Some of the movements we'll be doing is definitely going to target cardiovascular endurance in our remote learning system. Cross country skiing, and that's cardiovascular endurance. Okay, so with that being said, we're moving on to some other components. So we have our body composition. That's your body mass index, and it's going to measure your body size. It's typically combined with the person's weight and their height. And then the results of a BMI measurement can give an idea about whether a person has a correct weight for their height. Now, the problem with sometimes body composition when they're using those charts is that, for example, like I'm 6'2" and I weigh over 230 pounds. If I were to look on the BMI scale, it would technically say I'm very obese. Now, if you look at me, I'm not saying I'm the perfect person in the world, but I'm definitely not obese, right? So the bottom line is there's a trick behind this. Body composition does not work for athletes, okay? So it's just a generic scale that is used for all populations to figure if their weight is approximately healthy for their standardized height. So how can you improve your body composition? Some of the methods would be using good portion control when you're eating, okay? Making correct food choices and exercise, right? Because even though I'm eating lots of food intake, I have to find ways to have energy expenditure or burn it off, okay? So that's body composition. Your weight, and is it healthy for your height? Okay. Flexibility, day one. Okay. We talked about yoga. Yoga is definitely going to target flexibility. A lot of athletes don't focus on this. It's important to have good flexibility because flexibility is pretty much going to determine your muscles, how far they can stretch. It's also going to talk about those tendons and ligaments. If those are healthy and adequately stretched, you're going to be less injury prone and you're going to have really better movement and function in the body. All right. As the fibers can stretch more, the muscles become more flexible. All right. Now, with muscles, we talked about ligaments. Ligaments connect bone to bone, and tendon is going to connect a muscle insertion to a bone site. So you have static stretching. Okay. That's pretty much where you're holding a stretch on your own for a certain amount of time. Okay. You have dynamic stretching. So it might be certain movements we do. Like a soccer player might, do some high knees and into like little pogo hops. That's going to be some dynamic stretching. Okay. Or sometimes it's kind of like a little bit of a bounce, but like not to the point where you're going to hurt or pull or tear a muscle because you don't want that injury to happen. And then more importantly, yoga is going to have a good combination of both. So it's a discipline that includes controlling your breath, your mind, using some type of meditation technique. And then certain body postures are going to stretch lots of sites in the body, your joints and those muscles. So therefore they can perform better. You'll practice better health this way and have more relaxation. So once again, yoga is a key to flexibility. That's why it's becoming more popular. It goes all the way back to history and culture in China. Like back in ancient China, they started using yoga. Okay, so resting heart rate, that's pretty much when the heart is pumping the lowest amount of blood you need when not exercising. So that means when I wake up, I'm taking my resting heart rate. Okay, normally your heart rate is between 60 to 100 beats per minute. Um, this is a chart based on women and men. As you become a college student and an adult, definitely refer to this. It's not really going to work for younger children, but as long as you're in between 60 beats per minute, that's pretty healthy. Athletes will have even a lower heart rate than that. So like my heart rate when I wake up is like a 44, 48. So if I were to track my age, that's very, very healthy. I'm considered an athlete. Okay, so that's normal in athletes to have a lower resting heart rate. Because think about it, if I'm training my cardiovascular endurance, my heart muscle to work very, very, very well, therefore when I'm resting, it's really not going to be doing much because it's so used to being pushed and trained correctly. All right, the effects of resting heart rate. Some things could be like air temperature. So humidity can affect the heart rate. Okay, higher altitudes, cold temperatures, body position. Right, if I'm rested or sitting or just standing still, probably my heart rate's not really going to do much. But if I'm really pushing it and training very hard, now that heart rate is going to be impacted. Stress, anxiety, depression, all those emotions will affect your resting heart rate and your heart health, generally speaking. That's why it's very important to try to have good mental, emotional, and social health so your heart is not impacted and being at risk for heart disease as you age, okay, or have a concern. The body mass index, body composition as well. The heavier a person is, they're going to work their heart much more compared to a healthier person with a correct body composition for their frame and their weight and their size and their height. Certain medications can also affect the heart rate, right? So blood pressure medication, anti-inflammatories, or cough medicine, things like that can affect the resting heart rate. So those are some implications there. So I talked about this in my pamphlet for like athletes and nutrition. It's also important for fitness. So the basic way to just get your heart rate reserve, or your maximal heart rate, that means the most your heart rate can work. This is when you're like really, really exhausted. You feel like your heart is gonna blow out of your chest or come out of the rib cage because it's just like thumping extremely hard. That's your maximal heart rate, okay? And as you train more and more, your maximal heart rate will increase, and you won't get as tired when you're doing activities like this. So long story short, all you have to do is just do 220 minus your age, and that is your maximum heart rate. So for example, if we had a 20-year-old, you do 220 minus 20, their maximal heart rate will be 200. When they're hitting this heart rate, they're literally exhausted. Like they're having lactic buildup in their muscles. They're huffing and puffing. They're extremely tired, okay? Typically for cardiovascular endurance, a lot of doctors will say train at least at 55 to 75% of your max heart rate. So now what we would have to do is take that same candidate that was 20 years old, 200 times 0.55, as long as they're achieving their 110 beats per minute, as they're doing like, 20, 30 minutes of cycling, theoretically speaking and figuratively speaking, they're accomplishing cardiovascular endurance, or they are impacting their stamina, which is important for athletic activities. So the mindfulness activity, we'll skip that. I will have an enrichment video on this, okay? So these are some exercises just to impact your heart rate. So long story short, okay, like you would just have to run in place, okay? So you would run in place for like 30 seconds really fast, okay? You would wind up doing that. Then it says to do 10 air squats. So you just do 10 air squats right away. Then we would do some bunny hops, okay? Front to back, front to back, front to back, for 15 seconds, okay? And then after that, you're just gonna go on high knees, okay? After that, you wanna track your heart rate. So typically speaking, when you're tracking your heart rate, you'll use the carotid artery here underneath the earlobe, okay? It's a thick vein artery that's popping out here. You just gradually put a little bit of pressure, not too much. You're gonna feel a little bit of a thumping, okay? You track that for 10 seconds, and then you multiply it by 6. Okay, that's a basic way of doing that. You want to track your heart rate before doing the activity, because typically speaking, it's going to be lower. But after you do exercise, you'll see some change. I'm not really going to give you too many hints. All right, so the 5 components of fitness: closure and reflection. All right, so we have muscular strength, muscular endurance, cardiovascular endurance, working on flexibility, and body composition. Your resting heart rate is when you're sitting still, how hard your heart is pumping. All right, typically an athlete has a better resting heart rate because they're conditioned extremely well. How is the resting heart rate affected? It can be somebody who's sick, they're obese, or they live a sedentary lifestyle. It can be certain medication use. It can be certain climates or conditions environmentally. Okay, and then the 2 benefits of fitness: controlling your stress. You have stress, go do reps. That's it. I'm gonna write for you. All right, it's gonna help you feel better. Okay, you're gonna strengthen your muscles, your joints. Okay, you're gonna fix your body composition. There are so many benefits. Doctors can literally write a whole essay on this. And that's really the 5 components of fitness, guys. I hope you enjoyed this, and definitely let this carry on into all your remote learning, because as we're doing all these activities and lessons, you're definitely focusing on all those 5 components. Have a nice day. Take care.